You know that voice in your head that whispers, if it doesn't make money, it's not worth doing? Yeah, that one. There's this trap that hardly anyone talks about, but almost everyone online is falling into. It's called the monetization-driven identity, and it's when your brain turns every single interest, every spark of excitement, into a potential hustle. If it doesn't look like a fast path to money, your motivation just dies on the spot. Your whole identity, your self-worth, and even your everyday choices become tied to one thing: financial potential. Suddenly, you start to believe that the only activities, interests, or forms of personal growth that matter are the ones you can clearly and quickly monetize. In other words, you catch yourself thinking, if I can't make money from this, why even bother? This mindset is everywhere, and it's not really your fault. It's how our culture trains us. We're surrounded by messages that glorify money-making. Scroll through social media, and you're bombarded by stories of people who turned a random hobby into a six-figure business. Value becomes synonymous with profit. Without even realizing it, you internalize the idea that if you're not earning from something, you're wasting your time. Society pushes the hustle mentality so hard that we start believing every single thing we do should be profitable. And anything that isn't is just a distraction. Success stories everywhere highlight monetary success as the ultimate life validation. But here's where things get twisted. You end up confusing purpose with productivity. Just because you love doing something doesn't mean it has to become your side hustle or business. But your mind gets stuck trying to make every single passion monetized. And when you can't monetize it, suddenly it feels pointless, like it has no real value at all. The early play phase of learning or creating, the time when you're just messing around, exploring and having fun, that's where passion is actually born. But if your first thought is, how do I sell this? You skip that joy phase entirely. You kill your own energy before it can even grow. It goes deeper. You start equating uncertainty with failure. All creative paths, all new businesses start out foggy and unpredictable. But your brain starts demanding guarantees, wanting proof that something will pay off before you even commit to trying. That proof doesn't exist. You're asking for guarantees in a world that runs on experiments. Nothing good starts with certainty. So you give up before you've even started. Paralyzed by the fear that your time might not pay off. This fear-driven thinking just keeps getting reinforced. To manage this fear, your brain tries to guarantee every action has clear monetary potential before you start. If no guarantee emerges, you abandon the idea and start searching for the next big thing, chasing certainty and never finding it. Over time, you get conditioned to see time spent without profit as time wasted. But real growth is messy and non-linear. Most successful people spent years stumbling in the dark, sticking with things long enough for something real to bloom. Worse, you start tying your self-worth and validation directly to your financial success. Every attempt that doesn't earn you money feels like a personal failure, and your self-esteem takes a hit. But genuine passion isn't built on instant rewards. It's built on joy, curiosity, and meaning. Slow rewards that last. When money becomes the only goal, those slow, steady sources of motivation vanish. What happens next? You lose your genuine passion. You stop exploring interests freely because everything now feels like an obligation to profit. You become paralyzed by indecision, constantly seeking financial proof before you commit, and that endless hesitation kills your motivation. Burnout sets in. because trying to monetize every interest turns what once brought you joy into just another source of stress. Your creativity gets strangled. You can only see paths that have already been proven to make money, so you stop taking risks and stop innovating. Even your authenticity takes a hit as you start doing what's marketable instead of what's real for you. How do you know you're in this trap? You avoid interests unless you see a clear way to monetize them. Every passion immediately turns into thoughts of business plans and revenue streams. You judge yourself harshly for not earning money fast enough from your hobbies, and you keep hopping from idea to idea, never settling, because you're always searching for the next quick-win hustle. It's like being a gardener who keeps planting seeds but digs them up every day to see if they're growing. Eventually, nothing grows, and that's the tragedy of it. You're not really doing things because you love them. You're doing them because you love the idea of easy money, because you love the fantasy of cash pouring in while you sleep, and the joy evaporates as soon as you start obsessing over analytics and ad revenue instead of the activity itself. That's what hustle culture never tells you. Turning your entire life into a balance sheet isn't ambition. It's a trap for your curiosity, your creativity, and ultimately, your happiness.